happy in what you saw last night and expect to prepare for it?
Well, we've got a team in Austin Peay that's got some newcomers, and so we're trying to get familiar with them based on their exhibition games, as well as the game against Vanderbilt last night, which they didn't play particularly well. We expect a much better team when they come here on Monday. I think they'll try to go inside with Morton, who's their experienced guy. They try to run you up the lane a little bit, throw the lob, use their athleticism. I think they'll get on the offensive glass pretty hard. And then they've got some guys in Davis and Robinson that can score from the outside, can shoot the three. They can also take you off the dribble. So it'll be another defensive challenge for us inside and outside, and we are definitely looking forward to it, especially on the defensive end with the way we played again last night.
You guys have been watching the film on the defense. How did the guys grade out?
I would say that there are things that we obviously need to keep getting better at and we need to clean up. We're always on getting better with our hands, trying to deflect balls and challenge shots. So we're working on that. Positioning, I think, is key, especially with the way the whistle is going to blow this year. You're going to have to be in the right spot. You've got to get there quickly, and you've got to be ready to show your hands and do a good job keeping people out of the lane.
There were a ton of whistles last night. I guess, as you analyze the film, where do you feel like your guys need to get more comfortable in terms of the way the rules are changing?
I think getting your hands out, moving your feet. The other thing you got to do too is you got to sprint to get ahead. You can't slide with the guy and stay on his side. You got to try to square him up and not give him an angle to get all the way to the basket.
What's a realistic goal? Tom talked about the field goal percentage defense and three-point percentage defense in terms of keys defensively. Well, what's a realistic goal when you go into a game? And it may change game by game what you shoot for, what you want to hold teams, field goal percentage, three-point percentage.
Well, we always say 39-9, overall. And I think three-point percentage, you want to keep below 30. Even lower than that if you can. I think the big thing with three-point percentage, though, is trying to limit people's attempts. You don't want them to take a lot of threes. If you can do a good job of getting out there and not letting them get in rhythm and allow them to attempt those.
Queen said last night that Thomas is wearing a boot when he's not playing. 2 games in a short span. You going to be okay for all that?
Yeah, Thomas is one of those guys you probably have to cut off. If it's hurting too bad to play, he loves to play, he's got great passion. It's all precautionary stuff.
How much we talked to you about OG and understanding his strengths as a way of getting him on the floor. How much, too, can maybe all 3 of those freshmen protect each other a little bit in terms of minutes? If they can all get productive minutes, maybe no one of them has to play too much.
Yeah, I think that Thomas is obviously further along, but I would say that Juwan and OG continue to develop and grow and get better. And I think the big thing with OG is his athletic ability makes up for maybe some mistakes of positioning and where he is. And like last night, he was able to rotate over and block the shot. He was able to do it last night. I don't know if you're going to be able to do that in the Big Ten. So the teaching point is you got to get over, you got to be in a more help-ready position. And so I think he's learning and growing in that regard. I would say that Juwan talks the game as well as any of our young players do, because I think he understands it. And now it's a matter of him getting his body where it needs to be defensively.
I guess given as much as Rob played last season, do you almost treat him maybe as something more than a sophomore with as far as expectations, as a guy who can kind of come in, play starters minutes, whenever, play the other?
Well, I would say both Rob and James played so many minutes as freshmen. They shouldn't be sophomores, they should be juniors, because usually freshmen have to kind of ease their way in. I know people make a big deal about the starting lineup. I know it's cool, you get to do your dance and the whole thing there, but I'd rather be on the finishing team than the starting team. And Rob's definitely got the capabilities of doing both those things.
Does he understand that too? Does he kind of buy into that? Just whatever he needs to do, kind of be a glue guy to do whatever's asked.
I think his play speaks for itself, and I also think that it gives us a great dimension with another guy off the bench. It can be a starter that can score, that can set other people up. He's a bulldog defensively. In my opinion, Johnston, who we played against last night, a very good point guard, looked really good on film. I know his shooting numbers were really good last year, and he didn't want a whole lot of what Rob Johnson had to bring him last night on a consistent basis after Yogi got done with him. So I think that's a really good dimension for our basketball team.
At the same time, you talk about the starting rotation not being too important, but how useful is it to have the versatility? It seems like you guys have to move pieces in and out there to win maybe those first 4 minutes of games.
We want to be able to play a lot of different ways, and we feel like we can with the way our roster is set up. Last year we could only play one way. we could never play big unless somebody stood on somebody's shoulders. So this year we can do that. We went with the way they matched last night, and so Colin kind of got the nod over Max, and then it may depend on how Austin Peay starts and Creighton. And we've got a lot of versatility that way, and as you can see, the guys who started or the guys that came in off the bench, it didn't affect how they played, and that's the big key in order to have a really good basketball team.
What do you feel like you guys need to do to keep limiting turnovers?
I think that when you play fast, you're going to turn the ball over a little bit more. I think you have to look at percentage more than you look at how many. And so we're going to want to play fast. We're going to want to get up and down the court. And I think sometimes guys get playing as fast with their minds as they do their bodies, and they've got to slow their mind down a little bit. Sometimes our penetration is too deep, and then we kick it and it's a little bit too late. So we've really been working on trying to make that kick just a little bit quicker.
How do you feel with the ball movement so far versus expectations? Or do you think how much better do you think it can get?
Oh, I think it continues to get better and better. I would say that usually our ball movement is at its best when our defense is at its best, because when we're able to shut people down and get stops and get out and run, we're very difficult to guard. And we zing that ball across the court and go inside, come back outside, and beat people off the dribble. We can get them in a continuous closeout, and we're pretty effective offensively.
Okay, Coach, thank you.